right now, it is an honor to be joined by the voice of the Yankees, Suzyn Waldman, first voice ever heard on WFAN. I love you, Suzyn. I don't think I've ever had you on any of my shows, but it is and Suzyn, stop taking these days off. I don't want to hear BT in that booth. I want to hear more Suzyn.
No, that's it. No, I couldn't help it. I couldn't, and thank you for having me. And by the way, all you have to do is ask. Nobody ever asked me. Everybody says, you never come on my show. I don't remember you calling and saying, let's go on.
I was afraid to. And Suzyn, I got to be honest with you. I don't even know if I had you.
Wait a minute. You're afraid to?
Well, I don't want to bother you. I know you're busy. And I'm like, Suzyn doesn't even know who I am. And then, honestly, what happened was I got, Suzyn, truth be told, one of my favorite texts ever. And I forget if it was when I just got hired for the full-time overnight. I think it was. If not, it was
this one.
Oh, it was midday. Okay. It was midday. Yeah. I got a text from Suzyn
Don't
saying,
read it on the air.
I won't. I won't. But it was a very nice text.
Wait. Don't read it on the air. Did you take a knock? Hey, congratulations. Despite having to work with that guy?
You know what I said? Hi, BT. I said, it's about effing time.
Yes,
there we go. That's good, Suzyn.
It was one of my favorite texts ever, and I love you for that, Suzyn, but thank you for taking the time.
That's fantastic. And by the way, feel free to take a few more days off from the booth.
You know what? The only reason that I took days off, I literally lost my voice and couldn't talk.
I know.
And that was, that's a terrifying thing for someone who makes their living with their voice. All of a sudden, it was gone. It was awful. So, anyway.
And I heard you the night before, and I could tell it was going a little bit, and then obviously you came back and you're back to being Suzyn Waldman. All right,
yeah, well, it's like my doctor said I must have a lot of stress this year.
Well, we all do, because let's face it, if Judge and Soto don't hit, the Yankees don't score. There's a few ways to start here, and some are obvious. I'm going to go a little less obvious. Like, year two, like we all want Volpe to be a superstar because he was a first-round pick, and he's from here, and he's shown flashes. Have you adjusted what you think his ceiling could be meaning lowering it a bit, based on what you've seen almost 2 years now?
No, I have not, because I watch other guys. Let's take Bobby Witt out of the equation, although he's not hitting right now either, but he does other things. Watch, more comparable is what Gunnar Henderson is doing right now, which is like getting back. He's not hitting and making errors. And I do not adjust expectations for 23-year-olds. I mean, because all of a sudden something's going to click. I think that they threw a lot at him to come up at his age and, win a Gold Glove or whatever that was. I mean, I think there's a lot more room for growth, and I do not think that he's anywhere near his ceiling. It's a really dangerous and awful thing to say that somebody can't do something any better when they're 23.
It's true.
You don't know what coach is coming next. You don't know what clicks. You don't know if he and Austin Wells are going to go have chicken parm again and figure something out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I really hate that. I mean, I don't, if the guy is 27 or 28 or 29, you say, okay, this might be it. But I don't think so. I don't think so. It's also, there's a lot thrown at him, and it's, he's the shortstop of the New York Yankees, and I think not that it doesn't make the results any better or worse. What he does do is try and contribute in some way to having a win, and that's all I want to see. And it's hard to, don't forget, Derek Jeter used to come back year after year. There was something a little different. One year he didn't just come up with that Jeterian swing. He learned it. And he said, okay, they're pitching me inside. What can I do? And one year he came back and they said, oh, there you are. But he did a little bit every single year. So I think you got to calm down about Volpe right now.
Do you think, Suzyn, that's part? I love that story about Jeter, because I was going to ask you before you even said that about the inconsistencies, not just with Volpe, but overall. It seems like in baseball, from year to year, from month to month, well, who the hell knows what's going on? Lindor can't hit for 2 months and it turns into an MVP. Volpe looks like a superstar in the making, and then he can't hit. Why inconsistencies in today's game in Major League Baseball?
Well, if I knew, I'd be getting paid a lot more money. But here's what I think. I think we have taken for granted how good the pitching is. And how, these guys, I'm not saying they can pitch. Seth Lugo pitched yesterday. That was not on the Yankees at all. That was him saying, this is what I had wanted to do my whole time with the New York Mets. You didn't let me, and look what I can do. That was wow. But the velocity and the fact that you don't see the same pitcher more than twice you see, the best pitchers are usually at the end. But I think everybody's got flaws on their rosters, so it makes it inconsistent. But I think a lot of this lack of hitting is pitching. And I think the pitching is way ahead of the hitting right now.
I think that's an interesting observation. Back in the day, whether it was Mattingly or Boggs or, Lou Piniella before that, Thurman, anybody, where you can just keep going back and back and back. They'd face a guy 3 or 4 times. They didn't have somebody throwing 99 out of the pen, if not more, with 3 pitches that dart down a foot. And I wonder, Suzyn, because you've been doing this for a long time, you've seen the game change. What do you like about the new game, and what do you really dislike?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you what, I'll make it really simple. I think information is fine. Information is great. I hate that they have taken the humanity out of the game. These players are people. And you can't, just because the iPad, the answer is not always in an iPad. And that's what bothers me. So instead of, saying, well, he's supposed to hit a slider. Well, what if that slider is different than what you thought it was going to be? And I think there's too much of this reliance on, and everybody does it. Instead of saying about admiring a home run, someone will say the exit velo. Well, that's nice. I mean, I do it too because it's in front of you, so you say it. Yeah. But I think that's what bothers me, is that a lot of I don't see as much humanity in the game and sports. This is why we play the game. This is why we play the game, so that, for example, the New England Patriots actually won a game. They thought they were not going to win all year. I heard the Boston Sports can't win this one, and that's why we watch. Yeah, they did. I mean, and that's what sports is to me, not what you're supposed to do out of an iPad. That's the only thing that bothers me.
Well, I've got something for you that I think is going to bother you as well, but I do want to get your opinion on this. So, listen, matching wits, Billy Martin, La Russa, Bobby Cox, Whitey Herzog, the great managers, of course, Earl Weaver. There was the gut element. That's obviously been, for the most part, phased out of baseball with numbers. All right, we have to accept it because it is what it is. What bothers me is the being overly sensitive towards players not when they fail because they made a physical mistake, but when they make a mental lapse. And listen, I like Aaron Boone. I've supported it. I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's certainly good, and I respect him. But I think too often he's protected somebody like Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres was touched by the baseball gods in a way that many players were not. As a second baseman, he's got power, he's got soft hands, but yet he floats and he disappears. And I know he's hitting now, but intermittently not there mentally. And because it's 2024, you got to protect everybody. You can't say anything wrong. God forbid you offend the modern athlete. We protect these players, and we don't. The managers, in this case Boone, doesn't call it for what it is, and it bothers me. And you're asking the questions after the game, and I know you see what I see, and it's probably got to bother you.
Oh, okay, but here's the thing that we don't see. We don't know what Aaron Boone says to Gleyber Torres. We have no idea what goes on in there because they are so protected. They're protected from us. They're not protected from each other. You don't know what goes on in the back. And I first started realizing this way back. You'd think Joe Torre was Father Flanagan. You ever heard Joe Torre, Dale? Whoa. And I'm always places where I shouldn't be. Yeah. So that's why I know this. Yeah. We don't know what he does. We absolutely don't know. And Aaron, one of the reasons Aaron Boone was hired, quite frankly, is because he is that person. And this is a different age, and you and I might not like it. We like Billy Martin going and pulling Reggie out of the game.
Love it.
I mean, but you can't do that now because you got 6 agents calling, and you got the Players Association saying you humiliated my guy. You can't do that anymore, and that's the reality of it. We're still reacting like fans, like we always did, but the game is different.
Okay.
And that's tough to get used to. It really is, particularly when you're doing a talk show like you.
That is true. Suzyn Waldman, by the way, with us here, BT and Sal. We got to let it rip, Suzyn. Otherwise, we can't be happy on the air. Yeah, right. Okay, here's the thing. I agree. And I didn't mean to imply that Aaron Boone doesn't get after Torres, or you could take any other managerial player relationship situation. Josh Donaldson, pimping the home runs or all that stuff, right? But if it's not, Suzyn, if it's not corrected, right? I know it's addressed behind closed doors, but if it's not corrected, well, then I can say it's not working.
Well, you can actually, but how do you know it's not working?
Because I still see him being lazy.
Here's the other thing. You don't know about these Gleyber Torres, by the way, when he makes a mistake, is as devastated as anybody and stands there and says that was my fault and I lost focus. He does. He admits it all. Admits it all. And one of the things about Gleyber is that a lot of times he confuses himself with Robbie Cano, because Robbie did this and Robbie could do it. And, a lot of people have been accused of kind of being nonchalant. I remember Darryl years ago. They thought Darryl nonchalanted, and no, he didn't. That's how he runs. And that's, kind of something that we don't know. But to get to your point, it's a different age, and they're going to do it the way, they want to do it. It's not that, but the difference is you and I still react the way we always have.
Suzyn.
We haven't changed.
No.
We see them changing, but we're still upset. Like, what are you doing?
That's right.
Yeah, right. You want to see some emotion, too, from somebody else, to your point. I like to see
Well,
people
there
out there.
are plenty of people that have emotion on that team. Let me tell you, there's a lot of emotion.
What about Judge, Suzyn? For me, he's the best baseball player. I've always said Bond's the best player I've seen in my life, but Judge is better, and especially when you factor in the PEDs and everything. Where does Judge rank as far as baseball players in your lifetime?
Oh, boy, he's up there, and it's another one I hate to put. I hate to put tops on people. I mean, he's another one that does little things differently every year. He comes back with something. I think we also expect them to be superhuman. I think it's kind of cool that Soto and Judge get cold at the same time. It's actually kind of funny. If you go through, the two of them go and they go and they go, and then Judge was off for a while, so it was Soto. Then they both go in a slump, and they're both sort of feeling for it right now. But there's still so much grinding there. The result might not be there. I'm going to ask you to look a little differently. Watch Soto, even when he doesn't get a hit, and he hasn't for a while. He's been not Soto-ish. Watch what he does to a pitcher, and let's take Seth Lugo out of the equation, get to everybody else. To me, he's a 3-act play up there. And every at-bat, he exhausts people. And it's sometimes other people get the result of what Soto is doing. Now you got Austin Wells who started to hit. This is what they always thought he was going to do. People down in the order are getting the results of what both Judge, everybody is concentrating so hard on Soto and Judge that the benefit goes through the rest of the lineup.
Yep.
And look at it through that prism when you watch.
Oh, there's no question. And I remember saying, early in the year where Austin, who I love, I think Austin Wells eventually going to be an all-star. That's how highly I think of him. And I remember defending him like in April and even in early May, like the average was, he was sub 200. But and it's funny because we criticized the analytics, but I did lean on him there because I watch every pitch. I'm like, man, this guy's hit a bunch of balls on the screws. He's got nothing to show for it. But the advanced analytics back it up that eventually it's going to turn around for him. And it did. Like, he's gone from an interesting hitter to almost an irreplaceable cog in this Yankee lineup.
Well, don't forget he was signed as a hitter. They thought the catching was a work in progress. And that was going to be, but he was going to be a hitter. And this year, particularly when Trevino went down, he is, as Aaron Boone calls him, kind of a catching nerd. He really is. He loves the game planning. He loves all of it. He loves sitting with and getting a plan. And by the way, for example, Marcus Stroman never shakes off his catcher, ever. So he trusts that Austin Wells has, okay, he's got the game plan. He did it. I'll just do whatever he says. That's how much they trust this kid. And he's a rookie. And he's a catcher for the New York Yankees and hitting in cleanup. I think he concentrated, not that he neglected his hitting, he was so concentrating on being a really good catcher that he wasn't comfortable. And Carlos Rodon, who's had him since spring training most of the time, said he's just comfortable. It's really simple to see. He thinks he belongs here now, catching-wise. And sometimes you just relax a little bit and, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be a really good hitter. And by the way, I am. Don't ever forget that. He was signed because they thought he was going to hit. Yep. Not because he could catch.
He has been a key part of their turnaround offensively, just stabilizing the top of that order. I mean, it's not too long ago. You think about the Subway Series, and you had J.D. Davis hitting cleanup for the Yankees.
Who's leading off? Jones? Who's that guy?
Jahmai Jones. Loveliest man in the world. Nicest man in the world.
Yeah, Suzyn, just happy he's not batting leadoff anymore.
Exactly, right. Suzyn, it has been a crazy year in the Yankee booth. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that, but just from a listener perspective and all the different voices that you've worked with or even when you've been out, it's got to be, I know fans can't wait to have have you and John back together. You got to be excited about the final week and then into the postseason having your partner return.
Well, I am, only because it's like, and we were in Chicago. I'm not exaggerating. I had hundreds of people in Chicago coming up to me because you have to walk through the stands. And the place was filled with Yankee fans. So I'm in the stands a lot. But they were all saying, this is going to be great. John's coming back. Are you happy? I mean, people are yelling from the upper decks and things. It's an event, and it really is. And you know what, guys? I am really glad for him because I know they had the ceremony and all that stuff, but he didn't get to broadcast and go out the way he wanted to. And I'm glad for him that he's going to have this time. And, and playoffs, no matter how long it is, I think this team can beat anybody. They also can lose to anybody, as we've seen. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But it makes it like a special event, doesn't it?
No question. Oh, my God. It was so incomplete. And I got to tell you, I think you need to get a little more credit because – Emmanuel's young, and that's a tough spot to jump into. He's done a really good job. Great kid, too. Not a kid, but a great young man.
Absolutely.
I worked with Justin. Outstanding. He knows how to do it. But you had to adjust and adapt to so many different voices. Ricky, who's awesome. We all love Ricky. I think we took it for granted, you doing your job with so many different people.
Yeah, you know what I'd saying? I was talking with Michael Kay about this, and we were talking about because he has different people all the time. The difference is I don't control it. I have to react to what they're doing because they're doing the play-by-play. So it's getting people. It's different than having a different analyst all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But, as I told you, when they talk about growing up and changing, I'm up. This is me. This is what it's going to be, and I'm not going to, I can't change because this is who I am. If you do it right, you are who you are, and that's your personality, and you make it fit with anybody and try and help the best you can. Because these kids, by the way, and I hate to put Emmanuel's a kid. I'm sorry. He's 25.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm wearing a sweater tonight that's older than Emmanuel. So
that's great. And Susan, let's be honest here. Suzyn Waldman, BT and Sal on the Fan. Not that we're going to have you rank it, but if you were to rank your least favorite coworker, Mr. Carton at the bottom?
Oh, no, I don't have. No, it was wonderful. It was a fine weekend. Yeah.
I'm teasing. You guys sounded good. I'm just happy you guys got together. It's cool.
Was Kay talking about, Suzyn, was Kay talking about Flaherty?
Oh, here we go.
I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. Give me, Suzyn, before we let you go, you mentioned the Broadway plays. I know you love them. Unfortunately, I got married and had a kid, so I haven't seen a play in a while. But give me the best play, a must-see play over the last 10 years or so.
Oh, the show that I think changed Broadway, because there are certain shows in Chorus Line was one, Oklahoma was one, West Side Story was one, the one that at Hamilton changed the world, changed absolute theater. Hamilton is the best show I've seen since, I don't know, probably Chorus Line.
And I haven't had a chance to see it. First of all, tickets were ridiculously expensive.
Goodness.
Well, I saw the movie. I was going to ask you, is that okay to see it on TV or have to go?
You know why? It really is, because it's the original cast.
Right.
And there are two people that, everybody's good. Everybody who replaced people are good. There are two people that cannot be replaced. One is Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is Alexander Hamilton. And he wrote it. So he is that. Everybody else is good. You can't replace Lin. And the guy who played Lafayette Jefferson, and that's Daveed Diggs. And those two can never be. You can have people and they're fine and they're good. Those two, to me, are original, and they are seared in my memory and heart forever.
Well, we know your Broadway background. And listen, between me and you, I mean, come on, this guy, it's always like it's the wife's fault or he's busy.
I used to live in a city. I would go to plays regularly.
Oh,
Book of Mormon, I saw that. Yeah, Wicked.
Did you see Lion King?
Rock of Ages. I didn't see
Wait a minute. You saw. We're talking about two different kinds of ilk. You're talking about Wicked, and I'm talking about Hamilton.
No, well, I know. I want to see how Hamilton was on my list, Susan. I honestly couldn't get in when it first started, and then I just saw the movie, and I was like,
okay, it opened in 2016. I think you can probably get a ticket by now. But if you can't, the movie, it's not a movie. They taped the show.
Right. That's I saw.
And
I saw that.
Watch it, and I got to say, when I watched it for the first time, there was things, and I've seen it 6 times. And that when I saw the movie, I see it in road companies when I'm on the road. I've seen it all over the place. And when you see the movie, there are things that I did not notice, because when you're seeing it live, you can't concentrate on everything. Mm-hmm. When you're watching it on television or in a movie theater, you see things in the background that you did not see when you were sitting there in the theater. And I think that's fabulous. And by the way, take your wife to see Six. She'll love that.
Six?
That's only an hour and a half. Six.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Okay, we'll do.
Well, let's bring it. Final thing, and generous with your time. We appreciate this. Every Wednesday, by the way, Suzyn's going to be joining us for the Yankees, and we had Howie on earlier. If you guys missed that free Odyssey app, he was great. Suzyn's been great as expected. All right, you've been in the booth for all these championships, and there's going to be a ton of twists and turns, and hopefully they're favorable for the Yankees. When you close your eyes, because you know what a championship team looks like, can you truly envision this team hoisting, winning like 28, winning, celebrating on the mat? Can you see that? Do you sense that?
Oh, no, there's a difference. I can see it, but I think a lot of it is because of what else. There's no great team. I think this team can beat any team that's out there right now. They also are capable of losing to every team, as they lost 2-3 to Washington and 2 out of 3 to St. Louis or whatever it was, and lost to the White Sox. But I think it has more to do with where baseball is right now. And nobody thought the 96 team was, don't forget, they were down 0-2 to the Braves and went back to Atlanta, and they were all laughing at them. The Braves were laughing. So you just don't know. It's twists and turns. But I can see it because things can happen. What if Soto and Judge absolutely go on a tear?
There we go.
What if they chose someone? I don't know what's going to happen in the back of that bullpen or how it's going to work. But all of a sudden, somebody emerges there and is 1, 2, 3 in that bullpen. They're not going to win anything until the bullpen situation is rectified, whatever they're doing. And it's kind of cool to say, yep, we're going to be creative right now. It's never worked. If it works, God bless them. But it's kind of tough right now. And people are standing up. I like what Jake Cousins has done. He's been tremendous the whole year. Maybe Hamilton does it. I don't know what's going to happen. But until they rectify that, they're going to have trouble.
Suzyn, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for the time. We look forward to doing it again next Wednesday and every Wednesday.
See you next week from Seattle.
Oh,
okay.
There you go. In Seattle, a little different time change. We got to adjust with that.
That's all right. No. It'll be 12:30. I'm up early.
Hey,
so
listen, there will only be great shows have come and gone, great broadcasters come and gone. There will only be one first voice ever on WFAN. That is the legend, Suzyn Waldman. Thank you so much, Suzyn, for the time.
Okay, guys, talk to you next week.
There
you got it. That's right.
I love Suzyn.
I've always been a fan, too.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan.
First voice ever. Like,
Notice how you skipped over that Kay Flaherty thing real fast?
Well, I didn't want to. I just want to bring it up. Yeah, I just want to bring it up as a joke.
No.
But, love Mike and the Dogs, Summers, Benego, whatever, all the legends.
Yeah.
Suzyn was the first voice ever on the Fan. That's it.
I know.
That will never change.